they've been bought online, right, on an auction. They've never been to the village to have a look at the houses. They've never walked round the street, our streets in our village, you know.
Bought by some speculating greedy bastard who'll rent them out to some moron.
The parasites.
They are.
All they do, they don't even come to the village, they don't even come to the street, they don't even see the houses they're buying.
Now you heard this?
Yeah.
They're advertising homes for rent in my street, right? In Durham Prison. Yeah. I'm not kidding you.
It's been a good year to be an 80-plus-year-old film director. Martin Scorsese, 81, picked up a New York Film Critics Circle Best Picture Award for Killers of the Flower Moon last week, an important precursor for this summer's awards season. 86-year-old Ridley Scott has an epic historical drama in cinemas, and the critical consensus is that his director's cut of Napoleon will be a marked improvement on the version that's available right now. Images were even released last month of a smiling 93-year-old Clint Eastwood back behind the camera. His next film stars Toni, Collette and Nicholas Hoult and is a legal drama called Juror No. 2, which is due out next year. And then there's 87-year-old Ken Loach. I've lost count of the number of films of his that have crossed my path with the warning that this is going to be his last one. But here we are once again with a film that easily ranks with the very best of his work. The Old Oak is a shabby and run-down pub in a former mining village in the northeast of England. It's the only community facility left, but as the town is slowly drained of opportunities, it too seems destined for the history books. The publican, T.J. Ballantyne, played by Dave Turner, is a decent enough bloke, but also fundamentally broken like his pub. Many of the empty houses in the community are being sold for a song to absentee landlords, reducing the property values for the locals, and others are being made available to resettled refugees. When a coachload of Syrian survivors of civil war arrive, TJ is one of the few to make them feel welcome. But, as Margaret Thatcher knew all too well, sowing seeds of discontent among the dispossessed is the best way to ensure they don't come after the powerful, and others in the community think that the state should be doing something for them before offering a helping hand to strangers.
I thought you meant like a drink.
Thank you. When you eat together, you stick together.
Yeah, my mother always said that.
Yeah, we used to do the same before we left Syria. We used to cook together too with our neighbors and sleep under the stairs in case we were bumped.
That's taken during the strike. I was just a young lad. I just started down the pit. And the government tried to starve us back to work, so we made sure that we ate together every day.
Yeah. And what's that?
This is more of the strike. You didn't want to be caught by those bastards.
Yeah. But they look so strong.
Yeah, we were. You know, my father always said, if the workers realise the power that they have and the confidence to use it, we could change the world. But we never did.
But the government is nowhere to be seen, just the impact of their decisions on people who are relatively powerless. The Syrian refugees didn't choose civil war for themselves and their communities. It was forced upon them by the powerful. The miners didn't decide to close their own pits in 1984 to destroy their local economy and extinguished opportunities for their young people. Westminster did that without ever even visiting. Another interesting insight in the Old Oak is that everyone in the village knows who it was who scabbed during the 1984 strike. It's never been forgotten, and the poison in the hearts of those who broke the strike has formed a different kind of scab. Their souls are calloused. They can't access their empathy any longer. It's just everyone for themselves. I want to note the influence of Loach's regular collaborator, the screenwriter Paul Laverty. He was a human rights advocate in Nicaragua during the war between the popularly elected Sandinistas and the American-backed Contras. When he approached Loach in 1996, he'd never written a screenplay before, and he's hardly written for anyone else since. I'm mihi to him because Loach's style is so naturalistic that you barely feel the touch of the screenwriter at all. But this long, wonderful period of films that includes My Name is Joe, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, I, Daniel Blake, and Sorry We Missed You wouldn't exist without him.
My children will never see the temple in Tadmur, Palmyra, built by the Romans and destroyed by the Islamic State. When you have half of your country in rubble and you see this, it makes me want to cry. What will Syria be like in 1,000 years? How many years to cut the stones, to lift the weight, to imagine the light? How many brilliant minds, how much sweat, how many people working together. Such a beautiful place. It makes me want to hope again.
In his latest book, Nick Cave describes hope as optimism with a broken heart, and there are broken hearts all around the old oak. But there is also hope. I'm glad Loach found some of that. Beautifully modulated at all times, The Old Oak is one of my favourite films of the year. Loach directs these characters with respect, unobtrusively. There are barely any close-ups. He's keeping a respectful distance, and there's nothing emotionally exploitative. But despite that, I was still crying so hard I could barely take any notes. It's a film that acknowledges that all of us are just specks in the great scheme of things, but that we still have a choice about whether we make things a tiny bit better for others or a tiny bit worse.
احكي له بعض الأحيان ما في داعي للحكي يكون في حاجة للأكل.
Sometimes in life there are no need for words, only food.
You make me feel quite ashamed after what you've been through to do this for me.
حاسس إنه خجلان مننا خصوصي بعد شو مرقنا.
ما في داعي للخجل، بالحب ما في عيب، وسبب خساراتنا نحن بنعرف شو معنى الخسارة.
There is no shame in love, Mr. Ballantyne. We understand loss. Please, take a seat.
Thank you.
The Old Oak is rated M for offensive language. The film is in select cinemas across the Motu now.